Okay, welcome to today's episode. It has been another day here in lockdown. Of course, Australia has been a long way behind the rest of the world in our coronavirus experience. And at this point, New South Wales, which is where I live, remains in lockdown. Apparently, a couple more days, we're going to find out whether they're going to continue or whether they're going to stop this. Sydney has had, I think, 1,500 cases, something like that. The interesting thing for people who I've spoken to overseas, they're like, man, 1,500 cases, that's nothing. And yet over here, it's been extraordinarily draconian in terms of the degree of lockdown, the degree of government intrusion, let's call it, to try and control what essentially is a medical issue. It's been very difficult, and one of the challenges is having kids at home. Now, this has been perhaps a disadvantage in some aspects. It's been quite hard to get my phone so I can record this for you, but also it's been great to just have them around to, I don't know, to share lunch together, to be part of their learning. And it's a very strange thing that COVID really has offered a lot of difficulties and problems and challenges, but there have been some blessings as well. And just spending more time at home with my kids, it's been a real, I've loved it. You know, admittedly, we do have land, we do live on 2 acres, so it's been a lot of a different experience than those living in cramped and crowded cities. My heart feels for those people. It must be extremely difficult, and hopefully these restrictions will lift soon so that we can at least have some freedom to get out and go for exercise, go for runs, and not have really very strict rules that hopefully they're doing something, but you know, there's always a cost to any behavior. And there was a beautiful article written that was like, hey, Australia might be preventing mass coronavirus outbreaks, but we are paying in terms of missed breast cancer diagnoses, in terms of colon cancer treatments that aren't getting done, as well as the general mental health stress and strain that this entire experience is placing. So there are no free lunches in life, but what is interesting to me is that systems can make a massive difference. That the way that people are coping between those that have a systematic way of approaching life versus those that do not, it appears that the systems really do help. And so what I want to share with you is I have created an assessment for you to go through in business and assess where you're at in your systems game. Like, the thing that I see is that systems are underneath every single part of your business. It's in your marketing, it's in your sales, it's in your advertising, it's in your fulfillment, it's in your way that you run your team, it's in your optics, it's in your accounting, it's in your tax game, it's in your cash that you take from the business. It's in all of these things. And so any improvement that you have in your systems will play out across the board. Outside of perhaps advertising, as we've discussed before, there are very few return on investments that just return like systems do. And it has been common knowledge. You know this in business. You're meant to be running systems and documenting your processes and having a consistent way of doing things. This is not new. E-Myth in 1986, I think Sam Carpenter was maybe 95. These books, these methodologies have been brought through, and they said, hey, look, the benefits are so massive. So massive that when you do business with systems versus not doing business with systems, then your life fundamentally changes because your business changes. But up until now, I've not found any way to really assess, how am I going in my systems game? How am I even, like, what is really interesting is the limited number of books even on this. You would think that something that underpins every part of business would be documented and discussed in book after book after book, but no. Where do you find those? You find those in sales and marketing and advertising. and then a bit perhaps on fulfillment and a bit more on running your teams, but not much on systems, it's a very peculiar and interesting problem. It's like, hang on, what's going on here? What is going on here? One of the first things that you can do is get clear on where your systems game is. There's a link in the title of this video, or it'll be in the comments section, about taking an assessment that looks at your current systems knowledge. Like, how do you run your systems in your business? And if you don't at all, like, that's okay. At least you now know where you are. You now know that your systems game it's got some growth. It's got some room for improvement, but perhaps you're elite. Perhaps you're like, oh man, yeah, I dominate in terms of the way that I run my business. Because the interesting thing is that if you get your systems thing on point, then you can run your teams better. You can do far more with far less. The capacity to leverage is unparalleled when you understand how to run systems. So if that's something that you want, if you want to know what your current score is for systems, then click the link, head over and take the assessment. It's going to take you about 10 to 15 minutes where you're going to go through and rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 12 and come up with a score across lots and lots of areas of how to run systems. This may even just open your mind up to what systems are and how you do them and how you put them together. Having this is transformational. If you want to have more profits, more time, less stress, less headaches, better functioning team, a business that runs with you or without you, depending on your preference. You want to go on holidays for 2 weeks? Guess what? Systems must be in place. You want to go on holidays for 3 months? Systems must be in place. This could be the missing key for you in business. So take the assessment, get your score, find out where you stand in your system skill sets. I hope you got a lot of value out of today's video. I certainly enjoyed making it for you. Go take the assessment. I look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's episode as we continue this journey into the power of systems to create results. I'll see you then.